And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, for the third hour of Burning Wheel. So we rejoin you guys later in the day, I guess kind of late in the day, in fact. The sun is slowly setting and the sky is turning a hint of orange instead of being just blue and nice. Slowly getting darker on the westernmost horizon. We're back at your place. The whole thing is now it's like cast in lamplight, and we see you guys sitting around the table, probably eating your dinner. Nicky has a nice fancy scar on his face and some stitch work. And we need to talk about recovery and the time that might take. So. Yes. I think unless you guys want to talk something over before we do that, you can definitely like have a conversation and interject like, let's have a conversation before this happens or so on. But unless you want to talk right now, we'll just head straight into you recovering.
Well, the second they come back, Minnow will ask him if he wants to speed up the process of getting better.
Very nice. May I ask, because I'm very curious about this, it's interesting to me that you do this. May I ask, because you have a belief that runs contrary to this.
Yeah. If people seek me out for help, try to avoid them. Ariasta is new to me, and until I can be sure I won't harm me, I will lay low with my abilities.
Alright.
So far, I've seen my brother use magic. It hasn't exactly been, he's so awesome. It's more like, why the hell is he doing it out in the open?
Like, help, what is the strange, scary man doing?
And he already knows that we can do this, and he doesn't seem like, oh, I'm gonna die.
No, it seems to be like one of the reasons he hired you.
Yeah, so in Minnow's mind, helping him isn't dangerous.
Alright, so it's not a matter of...
do it out in the open. I'm gonna do it when we get back.
Alright, so you're... What I'm hearing you say here is that you're not actually compromising the general belief and ideal that you should be careful whom you show off these powers to and generally try to avoid it. It is not that you're breaking that idea on principle, it is more that this particular person here is a different... Like, this is a different story. I'm still gonna be on the lookout with this. I'm not breaking the belief as much as I'm making an exception to it.
Exactly. This guy is safe to help with magic.
All right. If he wants to, of course. But yeah, that's definitely a conversation.
That is why he's asking him, do you want me to speed it up so it doesn't take that long?
Sure. Let's hear that.
Nicky first is he's looking at you thinking about the last time you tried to actually heal him and not just kill the pain and how well that went. So he's wary.
Yeah, I think the murmur around the table, because I imagine two of your men also sitting there eating and Evelyn sitting there, and I think they fall like eerily quiet, so instead of having like a murmur of stuff going on, it just becomes like the sound of pewter cutlery on wood plates suddenly dominating.
Yeah, I imagined how
to be completely fair, I didn't have the tools to actually stop you bleeding.
What did you... one moment, AJ. What did you say, Rasmus?
Yeah, I imagine Jihadi would be eating quite a lot, considering he exhausted himself earlier.
That's true. Also, in that regard, we should talk about, quickly address you regaining your fort, because that has probably happened over the course of the day. And it happens on its merry lonesome and not without all these checks involved. So let me just quickly address that before we head on. AJ, you may continue having the conversation while I read up on this.
Well, to be completely fair, the blood thing, I didn't have the tools for it. And this is magic, completely different.
He looks around. Nicky looks around.
Your men are markedly not looking at you. This conversation about sorcery seems to have everyone a bit on edge.
And they just... Oh, they didn't see a man turn into a bird and a bird turn into a man.
They definitely did, and that's probably why they're on edge. Also, the fact that you are, in fact, spooky.
Yes. I'm spoopy!
You spoopy bard. Anyway, Nikki looks at you, and then he says, "In the other room a minute." And he leads you out of the main room into a side room where we can all be private and alone.
Is it just you and Minnow, or are you all are you dragging both all the newcomers with you?
Jihaoji can join us if he wants to.
Okay.
He's eating.
He doesn't. Typical Nick. He doesn't give a shit about the old man joining them. He doesn't think about it one way or the other.
Sure. You enter a side room. You're probably standing in there with the slowly escalating in stench corpse.
Oh yeah, we haven't disposed of the body yet.
No, it's just been lying there for around two very nice summer afternoons now, or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Delightful. In that case,
glad it didn't come.
Okay, so he gets you in here. Oh, fuck the smell. All right. Just had to get out of the way so the lads don't get too put off by it. I'm alright with it, but my boys, well, they're not used to magic. They think it's all wrong. But if you want to help me do this, fine. Get out of the way. Can't be worse than anything else that's happened.
You may want to lay down then. Or at least sit down.
Yeah. Nikki goes over to...
That it'll hurt you. It's just the feeling of magic rushing through your body is strange to someone who's never tried it before.
I'm gonna quickly add just to the nature of this conversation with my knowledge of the game before you establish what's gonna happen. Casting this spell on him is going to take around about... It's probably gonna take half an hour or more. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, okay, depending on how you cast it, but it's likely if you want to do as good a job of it as you can, it's gonna take 40 minutes or so.
Yep.
So just sitting
we're gonna get to that point. That'll take a long time too. Because I can see the 750 actions as basic myself.
Exactly. So I just wanted to mention that so I know that you understand that and can bring it to the fiction.
Yes. Also take a lot of time, so standing in here won't be lovely. Unless you want the ripe smell of a corpse for 40 minutes or so.
Alright. Yes. I assume... Okay. Is the corpse still on the table?
Yeah, I would say it's probably still on the table, and it's probably still covered up. The people don't like having a corpse around, but because you seem to be using it and haven't ordered them to dispose of it, it's still there.
Right. Is there a chair? Is there a chair in the room as well?
I imagine there is. I'm imagining your headquarters probably have places to rest. Right? There's probably some hammocks in a side room somewhere.
Okay.
Like in the kitchen. I don't know. It's a house essentially, this place, right? So.
Okay. I sit down on one of the chairs then.
Yep.
And then I say to Minomir, get it over with. And then, when that's over, I understand that you've been holding out on me.
Holding out on you?
You understand more about alchemy than you let on. You could look at that body and understand what the fuck happened to it.
Huh?
Really? You're gonna play dumb with me now?
Just sit still.
Yeah.
Alright,
also,
cool.
if you're gonna stand there and watch,
so
you might as well help.
So you're calling for the assistance of your brother?
He's just standing there. He might as well fucking help.
Well, as I said earlier, Jihauji didn't intend to follow unless specifically asked to, and
okay.
so he's still eating.
Matter.
Yeah, you gonna call him in to assist you from the other room, or are you just gonna do it on your own? You know, you could get, if you enlisted the help of your brother or your brother's teacher or both, it would help you in this process. But you might not want to. That is entirely up to you.
I'm like, do I want to? Don't I want to? He calls for his brother. Fuck the teacher. He can stand there.
But he
doesn't like that old man.
Well, if you call for him, Jihauji will come in. Yeah?
You might as well help.
Oh.
The room smells like corpse.
And Jihauji man said, oh, I thought we were trying to save him.
We are.
I take it you don't require lightning then?
No. I'll do the main bless thing and you'll just help. You're good with the good gestures, you know.
Of course. So I can assist using sorcery, is that?
Yeah, you can. I believe you could help with sorcery.
In that case, I think Jihauji would probably place one hand on Minomir's shoulder and start signing with the other once they start casting.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds about right.
It does.
How does it work when a gray die is helping a black die?
It has no effect.
Okay, so it's still just a black die. Good.
Oh,
yeah,
Daniel, I have a suggestion.
Yeah?
So you say it has no effect, right?
Yeah.
And that's totally alright. But since we're twins doing creepy twin magic stuff, I totally think it should change Minomir's die to gray.
I see where you're coming at, and I'm not gonna do that. We're gonna play this as it's written, but lots of buts, and buts are for touching.
True.
You could, if you wanted to, like eventually, if you work on the creepy twins duo casting magic angle for long enough, and you kind of work off like your own narrative in which you draw power from each other and so on, I might allow you to, as part of the evolving action of the narrative over a course of time, I might permit you to change the shade of to either change the shade of AJ's dice when you assist her on the casting, or I would permit an extra die from your shade, depending on how I want to balance it in my head. But that would be something like a trade that we would make up as we play.
Cool. So
nice.
Right. So I'm not gonna condone the idea right now, but I'm totally on board with the concept.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yay.
So
let's try not to kill him.
Here's what's gonna go down. Because we need to do this. Okay, good. So you shut the door behind you. You sit Nikki down. The two creepy Outlander twins loom dangerously above you.
Actually, Daniel?
Yeah?
If I'm the last to enter, I'll specifically not close the door.
Wonderful. The door stands open. A sliver of light is sneaking into the room. That's like the only light in the room is that, right? Because you're not keeping a lamp lit in here otherwise.
Also, I like the fact that when Minnow casts, he uses ancient words.
You are gobbling off the ancient tongue.
I guess I'm spelling those words as he says them then.
And whereas the dear twinsies doesn't actually say anything, he just makes gestures so they can hear stuff happening.
Mm-hmm. And then like a creepy, eerie, discolored light emerging from the chamber. All right, so here's what happens, right? We're gonna roll for this in a second, but we see this from the perspective of outside. We see this from the table of people sitting quiet, like intense, quiet, eating. And all of them have kind of stopped eating now that Jihauji has left the table. They're exchanging glances, and some of them are like looking at the teacher quizzically and kind of like looking off like into the room. The teacher just keeps eating, right? Conhoy is just sitting there eating with great appetite. And and then just eventually this eerie whisper, or like Menovir's distorted voice, flows out of the room.
In a language they do not know.
Yeah, in a creepy old sounding guttural language that sounds like it's been spoken by multiple voices.
I imagine it's when it's take that long, it's kind of like a chant.
Yeah, it would definitely be something like that, right? It's a lot of repetition. And then as you do that, and as this like you build into a chant, like a flare of what does it look like? I would like does your hands glow with purple fire or something like that? Like what is the visual effects of you healing with blessed hands and increasing his vigor?
First off, it takes 750, but the duration is instantaneous. So I imagine the energy building up in himself, but he needs to look at the target.
Yeah.
And the second he discharges, all the light he has gathered around himself then disappears into the person. So
here's the question, right? Because you could gain 3 more dice for this casting by hextupling. I don't know, by 6-doubling the casting time, which would, again, as I mentioned, that would be how you took it up to around 40 minutes of casting. If you don't do that, it'll be like, I don't know, 10 minutes. So if you do that,
he's gonna make sure that this man recovers fast.
Okay, in that case, then it takes around 40 minutes in that case, and like is there a visual indication of like, are you kind of moving your hands like?
No, he doesn't do gestures.
No, but I mean like when you heal, like during this ritual, you speak. I get that. That's how you cast. But are you like moving your hands over his form? Is there any visual element to your casting?
He's standing perfectly still, chanting this, holding his hands like a cup in front of him.
Yeah.
And light starts shining around him, then kind of like fills a bowl that's made by his hands.
Mm-hmm.
And slowly spills over as if this bowl actually has an edge. But it's just light. And once he's done, the bowl is filled, and he pours it over him.
Very cool. That is really cool. Okay, so that's the mental imagery of you doing this. What is
It's golden.
Cool.
Very bright and golden.
Very cool. Question then. Rasmus.
You know that I see white thing, golden
yes.
thingy.
The significance of you helping in this. What does that change about the way that AJ is describing this as usually looking?
Well, first and foremost, as Minomir chants the ancient words, I of course spell them out with ancient symbols of power in perfect unison. And the words I spell, I think I described his magic as being blue last time, but I'm not quite sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, you did.
So they become physical blue light, and since he's mostly a lightning mage, they crackle with a sort of thunder, and then they kind of rain down into this ball of light.
Very cool. Very very.
We also went with the fact that Minnow's normal magic is a rainstorm and a witch fight, so that is why it's flowy and water.
Very nice. All right, so just a question.
Water and lightning.
So, as this transpires over the course of like a very long 40 minutes, what does that feel like to be Nikki?
Ooh, may I add something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Since there's this, my magic at least adds a little bit of lightning to it.
Yeah.
I think I don't know about the effect of the actual spell, but I think it feels prickly to be nearby. Like your hair stands up and kind of like your arm has fallen asleep or something.
Everyone in the room like Miyazaki's a bit.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And your skin tingles like if you have what is called pins and needles. Not in a painful manner, just slightly.
Cool beans. I love it. So, Nikki.
Completely opposite his brother, surprisingly. With the water and air elemental and the anima actually going on, the bright white light with a golden shine to it actually feels warm and welcoming.
Very cool.
So it's prickly and welcoming.
Yeah.
It feels electrifying, but in a good way.
Yeah.
And
Pretty
then
much.
it can be poured down over his face. It'll feel like calm and warm and actually very nice.
Sure. So just to set the scene and raise the question for Nicholas, right? So you're sitting in a chair. Right behind you is a corpse. The only light in the room is like the only consistent light in the room is like pouring in from like a slit in the doorway. And other than that, your entire form and the room is like drowned in this saturated yellow bluish light, like interchanging. As the people in front of you are, irrespective of each other, drawing out symbols that appear in the air, and one of them is like chanting in like Koya and Iskantiing at you. What does it feel like to be Nikki right now? Tell me about how you feel.
Nervous. Don't trust them. Yes, I am actually giggling.
That is a good. Yeah, so absolutely. Sitting there, like slowly building to a steel check. Like
it's just like, oh, I don't like this.
Yes, and I say,
run.
Yes, mustering things like, if you people betray me, I will find you in the afterlife and I will murder you.
And they're both standing like really tall, identical twins with their heads shadowed in robes, lit by magical fire, and with their backs to the only light source.
Menno's head isn't covered. That's only his brother who wants to be flashy.
Being really spooky. I love that. Okay, so yeah, it's definitely an unsettling experience. I totally... That is not just you being paranoid, although it definitely plays to your paranoia. But yeah, that is... It's probably very creepy imagery. Especially for you who's... Even though you're not that judgmental of sorcery, as we've established, is not that familiar with it either.
But you don't trust people, so I could very well be trying to kill you right now.
That's true. Like they might be turning you into a frog.
Yes, so that's why I'm giggling.
Or putting your soul into a doll.
Who knows?
AJ,
is there?
Yes.
Give me a sorcery check. Add 2 helping dice from Rasmus, because Rasmus is helping you with a sorcery skill above 5. So add 2 dice from him, and add 3 dice for taking your sweet ass time casting.
So that's extra 5.
Yep. So modifier 5, and roll it. Obstacle before you cast. I don't know if cancel it and just check something by check your sorcery skill. On your character sheet, there is it says B, like die logo, B something, B6 or 7, whatever, sorcery.
B6.
Yeah, and then there's a tiny little box, like a tiny box. Is there an X in that box?
Yeah.
Good. That means it automatically open-ends your 6s.
Okay. Why is there an X in that?
Because it's a magical skill.
Okay.
And magical skills are automatically open-ended.
Okay.
So you don't have to spend fate re-rolling 6s. It will do that on its own. It won't spend your fate. It'll just auto re-roll. Okay. So, and now you can just roll, and whatever your skill is, with a bonus modifier of 5 dice.
So I have 11 dice, and target base obstacle is his health. So that is what, 3?
What's your health, Nikki? What's your health exponent?
My health exponent.
What's your health explosion?
I don't know.
It's in your stats and skills.
Stats and skills. There is steel, perception, will. It's right between perception and steel.
So fort.
No, it's I see it. It's below your perception. It says will,
2.
perception, health. Yeah.
2.
So it's 2. Yeah, you're not a healthy fellow. That's true. Okay, so your obstacle is 2.
Okay, let's see a lot of 1s. 5.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. So
is it an open-ended spell or?
It is. All magics are open-ended.
Oh, I mean, I have some spells that increase in effect for every.
You have spells with a Karat logo on it. Yeah. It's an up spell.
Okay, it's an up spell.
So the more I get over, the better it gets.
Yeah,
nice.
For you listening audience or viewing audience, what we're talking about is all spells have an obstacle that you need to roll to cast a spell without fucking stuff up horribly. But some spells have a Karat logo next to the obstacle number, which means that the spell increases in effectiveness if you roll above the obstacle. So in this case, with the Blessed Hands that Minomir is casting, because AJ is rolling above 2, it means that the 3 extra successes add to the effectiveness in some way. And in the case of this spell, it adds even more dice to Nicholas' health check. So you gain 1 health die bonus for just succeeding, and then you go above the required amount by 3, so you get 4 extra dice, and you get 3 for the successfulness of the surgery. So Nikki, I need you to give me a recovery check, which is a health test. So roll your health that you just recently found on your character sheet.
With a modifier of 6.
The modifier of 7.
7.
Yeah. 3 plus 4.
Okay.
Self-cap.
And you're rolling against an obstacle of you're rolling. Do you have any persona that you can spend or want to spend?
I have. Come on.
It's in your stats and skills. If you have it. Let's have a look. You don't. You have 2 fate points. Okay.
No, so I don't have that.
Cool. So you can't add persona to it. Okay. So you are trying to recover from a midi wound. So you roll a health of 2 plus 7 modifier.
Yep.
And the obstacle is 3. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. That is amazing.
I'm sure he can feel the healing energies, all right.
Yeah. So
he gets this light dumped over him, and it's actually a very nice feeling.
Okay, so here's what happens with that. So the health test to do this, you succeed. First of all, you recover perfectly from this, so there is no diminishment of any stats because your treatment was very successful and your recovery is very successful. So you get 7 successes versus obstacle 3, which means you're 4 over. And all recovery time may be reduced using extra successes from the health test. Each extra success over the obstacle reduces time by 10%. It can be reduced to 90% maximum. So in your case, it is reduced by 40%.
Excellent.
And the recovery time for this, for a midi wound, is... Let's see... 2 to 12 weeks. Let's say that, I mean, let's just go right in between there, right? Let's say that the recovery time is 6 weeks. So you cut 40% off that. What is 40% of 6 weeks?
About 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, something like that. Let's see.
Yes, we could math.
Let's math it a bit.
Yes,
so
go on.
It's 7 days times 6, and then we just that's 42 days times 1 plus 6, 1.6. So that's 25 days.
So that's a little more than 3 weeks. 3 weeks and 4 days. That's about it. So let's just say let's say it's 4 weeks. Let's round up. It seems. Oh, it's specifically 3 weeks and 4 days.
Yeah, it's actually true. So let's say 3 weeks and 4 days. Okay, so you are filled with and aglow with magical energy, and as this happened, we fade out of the building, like the camera pulls back from the building, and we see like a glow of eldritch light emanate from like the shuttered windows of the building.
Yep.
Oh, Daniel.
Yeah.
I have a request.
Yeah.
Could we totally say that during the time he's recovering, every once in a while, like a spark of this light will shoot across Nikki?
Like a little lightning bolt just kind of ring into existence.
Your lightning bolt or just light? I mean, it is after all Minomir's spell. Just across the wound.
I were kind of thinking that Minnow were the one who actually threw it in. But I have a feeling that the light will stay on him and be the strongest at the beginning and then slowly fade out and then be completely gone by the time he's okay again.
That is for you to decide, like if that has that effect. If he is aglow with energy until later. Strictly speaking, the spell is instantaneous, so in the fiction of it, it is more likely to not be that way, but I'll totally let you say that it looks that way if you want to.
I mean, as you could say that his wound sometimes flashes up in light and it gets less and less until he's fully healed.
Exactly. Cool. That was what I meant. That it lights a little, like instead of blood coming out of the wound, it's a little trickle of the magic Minnow used.
Cool.
And flow of that will be less and less the more he recovers.
That is perfectly okay with me. So you kind of have you have this effect when you're sleeping. You kind of the room is cast in a soft orangey glow, and it slowly diminishes over the course of the next 3 weeks and whatever many days, and 4 days.
So I'm gonna have to walk around with a glow.
Well, I mean, AJ described it as a soft glow, so I don't imagine you walking out into sunlight and having a visible halo. That's not what if you're in heavy shade or darkness, then...
His wound has been closed, but every now and then there sometimes will come a little fluids out of the wound, no matter what you do, and that fluid is kind of like the watery thing he had fall down over him. The light that acted a little like water, and that will be a little trickle of that.
Very cool.
Every now and then, like when the body normally would expel some of the pus or something like that.
Sure, when a little fluid gets leaked.
Yes.
It's like the tears of the gods.
Very, very, very strongly in the beginning, and then it'll fade.
Yeah, so you have semi-surreal experiences every now and then during your recovery period.
But it feels nice.
So let's talk for a moment here. Let's because we fade out on this particular on the light show as mentioned, and we now know that this transpires over the course of the next 3.5 weeks. Let's talk about time skipping, because we should address that before we continue. So what we could do is we could just wait until Nikki is fully healed. That would be a way of going about this. We could also just not do that and play out this period. Nikki will have his wounds reduced by 1 die, so he will only have a penalty of 1 while this is going on. But he will be in a risk of ruining his recovery if he gets into trouble while this is transpiring.
And, well, we know that trouble is very specifically what we're going to be out looking for.
Yep.
So
are we in favor of just skipping over the recovery period and asserting what people have been doing during the 3 weeks, and then coming back in on our characters once Nikki is a-okay?
That sounds like the best idea.
All right.
Because I kind of already know that Nikki somewhat really wants to, be a part of it, because he doesn't like Koska anymore either.
I'm all for skipping.
Okay, so let's say 3 weeks and 4 days of trouble. Where you've not strictly speaking gone into trouble, you've been doing something. We'll find out what that something is just now. So, we're skipping time for the first time ever. So as we're coming up...
How do others react?
What?
How do the others react on the light show?
Yeah.
So just to address that, when you come back out of the room, people are just very mindfully not looking at you. They're averting their eyes, looking at empty plates, not totally cool with what has transpired because they don't know or understand. All they know is it sounded horrifying and there was light coming out of the room, and now Nikki is coming out of there looking ready to fall asleep. And
some light flashes across his wound.
Yeah.
Scaring them even more.
Yeah, I think basically that's one of the things that Nicky's going to be doing with his recovery time, staying on base, is sitting down with his lads and having a very serious talk about what this magic means and how, even though we mustn't trust it because it's bad to trust anything, it's not. Shouldn't hate them for it. It's actually quite useful. Think about it in terms of how much money it could make us.
Very interesting. I'm gonna come back to that.
Also, it didn't actually hurt.
I'll definitely come back to that. Give me a moment here.
Yes,
so
yes.
that's you. You, Nikki, mark a routine health test. If there is such a thing as a routine health test, I don't actually know if there is.
Oh, we have those all the time, and we have to do routine health checks and anything else. Let me see. Routine health check. There we go.
Yes. Okay. So definitely mark one of those.
Health can actually get better from me helping you. Aren't you happy?
AJ, mark a routine sorcery check.
Yay!
Rasmus, do you get to mark anything? I wonder. And also, I don't know if do you even need routine checks to advance, or is your skill too high?
I have 0. It says 0 routine, so no, I don't need routine checks.
Yeah, let's have a look.
Any difficult or challenging?
I also have 0 in routine.
Yeah. Okay. So this is not hard enough to actually merit your improving in sorcery. This is piss easy for you essentially. It might go wrong, but it's really easy. So you don't actually improve from doing this, but you did improve your boss's health. So good on you.
Is it the same for me then?
Yeah, it's the same for you. You don't increase your sorcery. Neither does Rasmus.
Aww.
Because it's simply too easy. It's just like, this is child's play for you. It's not that because the check could technically be hard, right? It's not Blessed Hands that is too easy, because if you tried to use Blessed Hands on someone who was really healthy, it would have been difficult. But because he is such a sickly, frail man, because he has like 2 health normally, this was just too easy. This is like...
How much health does my brother have?
3.
What? Why am I surrounded by unhealthy people?
Well, it's not only that, right? It's that your brother is a huge nerd, that Nicholas is like an unwashed drug dealer living in a shitty town, like in a shitty metropolis, and you're a barrel-chested motherfucker who's just like the big, strong, healthy ox of the group.
He's not barrel-chested. He's
Actually,
chiseled.
I think my health would be 5, but I think Daniel subtracted something from those questions.
Yep.
I think it's your fort that's gone down.
Well, it's supposed to still be 6, right? Unless we forgot to remove that penalty.
So here's we'll get to that right now, because I was actually going to mention that for AJ, and then I'm going to mention it for you. AJ. Eventually, over the course of this time, you get to quickly, very swiftly deal with your light wound. Okay. So I want you to give me an obstacle to... this is a question of your recovery. When you recover from a light wound, you need to make an obstacle 2 health test. If successful, the pain fades immediately. If failed, the penalty remains for 24 hours minus the fort exponent. So it essentially resolves itself, but you still get to make a health test.
Yay!
So roll me a health test versus obstacle 2.
Bang.
All right, cool. So you succeed immediately. So here's what's going to happen for you is we should actually have done this earlier, but hey, live and learn. You get to mark a routine health test too.
But I have 0 in routine.
Good, then you don't get to mark anything. Also, because I'm totally messing up the order of things now, I should have asked for this immediately. when you cast, immediately after you've cast, I need you to make a fort check because you get drained for casting.
Okay. Fort, yes.
I apologize to any avid players of Burning Wheel out there who's sitting there listening and being like, why are you messing up the order? And it's because I'm learning.
Yes, I'm okay with it.
Okay. So...
There's modifiers in fort, right?
You don't get any modifiers for your fort because you only cast carefully, not patiently. So
Okay.
you just roll a... What is it you roll? You roll a fort versus the spell's obstacle. So a fort test versus obstacle 2. Alright, so you succeed. So there's no tax. You don't get taxed.
I feel fine. Why are you so tired, brother? I feel fine.
Well, I'm sure by this point I feel fine too.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So you, Rasmus, as Shihao gets to rest, test your health against an obstacle equal to the number of fort dice lost to determine how long it takes to recover. So test your health versus obstacle 3.
Oh, that's going to be difficult. No modifiers, I assume.
Nope.
Well, you could get a modifier if I had a herbalism kit I could help you with.
Yeah.
Alright.
Ow.
So, first off, mark a difficult health test.
Yes.
Yeah. And so the full time is 4 hours per lost die. So in your case, that's 12 hours. Meeting the obstacle reduces the resting time to 3 hours per die. Exceeding the obstacle reduces the time to 2 hours per die. Exceeding it by 2, blah blah blah. Minimum recovery time is 1 hour. Rest must be completed uninterrupted. Okay, so essentially you recover slowly over the course of the next 12 hours, just feeling sick and exhausted and bad, and your health, the healthiness of your person, does not meaningfully help you in this regard. You suffer for as long as you actually can before you recover from your sickness.
I'm sure Jihaudi blames the fact that he was out of practice.
Probably. You haven't turned into a bird for a while.
Exactly.
It's not easy birding out like that. It's...
Does he say that out loud at any point?
Do you complain? Are you a whiner?
No,
Would
I
he
don't
say,
think he
like,
complains. I don't think he complains, but he probably gets a bit more snippy than he usually is.
This is code talk for complaining. I'll tell you who does complain though over the course of the next little while, especially like in the beginning. Right now, in fact, exactly as you're kind of sleeping off the tax and you're kind of feeling bad and everything, is the exact moment where your teacher just starts unloading shit on you and just talking crap for messing up this transaction. And why were you scouting in the form of a bird? And you should be down there making your presence known and felt. This cannot be allowed to happen again. This person who is safeguarding your health and your vigor, and is helping us. He refers to you as us now, like helping us survive here in this strange land. You really must take more care. He's just talking shit to you, essentially. There's a lesson in there somewhere, but I get the sense that you're not the type of person who listens any longer.
No, and I think when he's done,
yeah,
he definitely gets a look like, "Are you done?"
Yeah, he walks out of the room like just exasperated, like, "Oh, children."
I imagine that since we're all sleeping in the same room, the minute he stomps out of the room, Minnow will just go, "Finally!"
Right. So that happens.
He's so noisy. Finally.
All right. So let's talk this time skip now, because now we've resolved all our leftover stuff. Now we need to go directly into what transpires in the next 3.4 weeks, or the 3 weeks or 4 days. So, Nicholas, you have something you want to do about safeguarding the cohesion of your organization in the face of the newly introduced sorceress elements. Is that true? You're muted if you're responding right now. Hello?
Yeah, not out of any sense.
Wow,
Hello?
okay, easy, chill. Okay, so you just went robotic on us. Try saying something again.
Ding dong, the bells begin to chime. Anything?
Yeah, much better.
Yeah.
Much better.
Excellent. I want to maintain cohesion, not out of any sense of personal loyalty or love for the pair, but simply because I don't want my organization falling apart.
Well, that makes perfect sense.
I can't have rats abandoning the ship just yet. You may change that against all odds one day, maybe, possibly, perhaps.
About your organization over the course of the next 3 weeks. With you basically bedridden, I mean, you can walk about, you can walk, you can talk, you could even travel in your present state, but it's you should not be physically exerted.
Yeah.
Are you still like actively manning the cannons, or are you ceding responsibility of running the organization to a second in command?
I'm only manning cannons insofar as I'm staying in the safe house in the HQ. Occasionally going for a walk in the garden to maintain, so I don't end up wasting away.
All right.
Otherwise, I'm leaving Evelyn in charge of going out and finding stuff out, because I specifically want her to find out ways we can get back at Koroba. And also I mentioned to her about, if possible, we've got time, we need to make back the cash we spent. There just happens to be by some amazing coincidence, a shipment of nylon cloth coming in that, if we do have not profit.
All right, I'm gonna pause you there for a moment because you're turning robotic again. I'm going to quickly drop the call and call you up again, see if that fixes it.
Sure.
Okay. Hello, everyone.
Poop on a stick.
All right, so Rasmus is coming through. Okay, how about you, AJ?
Hi.
Hello, and Chris.
Hello.
Hello. Okay.
Yay!
So I got to the part where you're sending Evelyn out to scout out the cloth shipment, and like where's that moving while you are indisposed? Is that correct?
How do you mean? Yes. Looking to wait. Look. To the things I want done, if possible. I want to delegate Evelyn to looking into the Lyland cloth shipment, and I want our two new employees to go out and find a way to start getting back at. Well, to continue. Well, actually, no. I would like them to continue the original plan to find out anything about anyone who's messing with the product.
All right. Cool. So you relate those orders, and then you look about securing your men's cohesion. That's cool.
Yes.
I'm gonna have you make a check for that, and we'll address the other points you made afterwards. So,
okay.
You want to do something to get your troops to fall in line and be more at ease around your two new compatriots.
Yes.
Okay. So, I think the intent is pretty clear here. You want them to not, like, you want the cohesion of your organization to not suffer at the introduction of this new element.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the task in which you set about doing this is the question, right? So, my immediate instinctual response is to say, how do you do this? Like, what does Nicholas actually do to... Like, how does he go about informing his people of this?
I think persuasion by itself might be a bit difficult, but... Well, it's the one thing I can really do is I can talk. I haven't really got anything else I can do with them.
Yeah.
Well, persuasion is a good way to go.
Persuasion with would either of my reputation affiliations apply as modifiers?
Absolutely. Your reputations and affiliations apply directly to your organization, so you would factor them both in.
I know it's a weird thing to ask at this point, but seeing that we're actually here for 3.5 weeks almost, could I help his circles test with Grumpy Healer? So when they come home with a boo-boo, I'm actually helping them?
You mean to say that you want to faction your reputation as a grump, but also a healer, into his attempt to persuade his men that you're okay?
I'm actually going to help them when they come home with a boo-boo, kinda-ish.
Yeah, so you factor the fact that you have a reputation as a healer into, you make that an argument for him. Yeah, that I would allow that. He could take a helping die for you having that reputation.
Because he just realized that he has that.
Working from the assumption, of course.
He found it.
Let me ask you this before I overstate, before I double down on that statement. Is your reputation as a grumpy healer, because it's a 1-die reputation and therefore it's localized, is it localized back home? Is it localized between here and there? Or is it like a rumor you got as you entered a skein where you kind of helped people as you saw the refugees and so on? Does the reputation apply here?
That is around here.
Okay, good. Yeah, then take the helping die.
We left the Stormlands and then we didn't really see anyone before we came to where the brunt of the refugees were.
Okay.
And the refugees have been carrying this reputation with them further in, so yes, it's here.
Absolutely. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, how do you go about? You said you want to go about this with persuasion.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, you're trying to essentially, what are you trying to persuade them of? Right.
That ultimately, that the magic itself, first establish that they are afraid of magic because, I assume they're afraid of magic because of the religious implications of magic.
Religion in itself doesn't speak that much about magic. They're definitely like some religious folk out there preach against the vile sorcerer and the serpentine influences it has over the hearts of men. But it's actually not that grounded in the mythos of your religion as much as it is just generally distrusted for being horrifically dangerous and rare and practiced amongst people that no one really understand or know about, right? It's like...
They are scared of the unknown.
Yeah, it's like, it's also the people who practice it are generally not that well received, right? The only people who are almost universally agreed upon to practice sorcery, like whenever people say sorcerer, the image in most people's minds is of a Stormborn. It is of someone walking out of the perpetual rainstorm wearing like oilskin clothing and a funny hat and walking south into Ariastor and then being creepy as all fuck before vanishing. The only other people than that who practice sorcery, and there is like a wide and natively based tradition of sorcery, are like, the famous sorceress in the courts of the ancient king, and that person that one time who wandered between places, and it's like if you were being told that the head of the CIA possessed mystical powers. It's like, not only do I not trust you in general, but now you're telling me that this person also possesses weird powers, right? It's that kind of idea. So it's not hated everywhere, and it's not been driven off by like angry mobs with pitchforks everywhere, but there is a general like lingering resentment and fear connected to not understanding.
Okay, so fearing what you don't understand, fearing of power over them, fear of that.
Yeah.
But
okay, so
the upside, the reputation for him being a healer is actually kind of positive, because even though he's a grump, he does help them, and it does work.
That will factor in. It'll be a combination of several things. It'll be a combination of pointing out that these people are these two powerful people are still Nicky's employees. They answer to him. He provides them board. They may have these powers, but they are still human. They still need to be fed and watered, and he's the one providing those things. So in that sense, he is in charge. That hasn't changed. He points out that Mihlamir is a healer, not a great destroyer, and that he has offered his services, which is stupid and foolish, but he's done it nonetheless. And also that basically, since they're offering it, this is therefore, by the standards that Nicky has set for his own gang, a resource to be exploited, just like everything else. And ultimately, of course, that the power of these strangers from the north, and bringing in strangers and using their resources from the north, is no different from what they've been doing with smuggling the fairy dust for however long it's been. It's still, and points out that when we started the business, we didn't know jack shit about the dust either, and we had to make it up as we went along.
Very cool.
So it's no different from that in that respect.
Yeah, I can see you persuading them of this. You could also use oratory, depending on if you want to try and open oratory or if you want to just use the skill you're good at.
When you say open oratory,
I don't think you have oratory as a skill.
No.
But you could, if you wanted to, make the test as a will test towards opening oratory, or you could use persuasion. One of them is more likely to succeed than the other. The other earns you a check towards learning a new skill.
I'd like to play it a bit safer with this one and just try and succeed.
Okay.
So based on my description, does that change the modifier in any way?
It doesn't. It's very suitable for persuasion, I think. Do you think you have anything you could fork in? Like, is there something about what you said or the way you go about this that you think I can fork in this skill totally by doing it this way?
I'm so happy I forked in with my reputation instead of ugly truth, because it could be very, very, very evil at this.
I mean,
it's
you help him.
Truth could have been, well, yeah, I'm here now, and if you're annoying me, I will turn you into a toad.
The interesting part here, and the part that's different from what you might be used to, but with helping dice for now is for now at least, is you're not technically helping. You're not actively participating in in this conversation.
Nope.
The fact that you have a reputation gives him a helping die.
Yes.
Okay. So anything else you want to fork, or any fictional positioning you want to work with, Chris?
Grift-wise, but we are thieves. We're continuing the business of thievery. These people are going to help us thieve more stuff in these specific ways.
I will let you take that, because you definitely made a point of like they're a resource to be used, right? So it's like, yeah, we're remember where we're coming from. Like we profit off others, and we profit off the misery of others, and these people are miserable.
Yeah. Other than that, no, nothing else seems to fit. So, reputation and affiliation, both from me, plus the reputation of Mihlamir and the Griftwise modifier, I'm up to 4. Do you agree with that number?
I agree. Also, this takes place over a long time, so you can definitely take your sweet ass time doing it and take an extra die for that.
So up to 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
So before you roll, let's talk consequences here. If you fail, the people definitely hear the argument, and we can't discount the fact that you're still in control of your organization, and they definitely have this reputation of Mihlamir to take into effect. That helps. They will still be unsure. There will be like some general looming resentment going on, and someone in your organization will like start questioning the validity of what you're saying. But you're still gonna it's still gonna be a knit unit, but
all right.
You will, but your control of it will wane a bit. Not only that, but if you fail it, because that's not that much of a consequence yet, but if you fail it, the fact that you're speaking of these people as a resource to be exploited and you're using them and they're eating out of your hand, that is going to, in conversation, leak to Xiaoxi and Menomir.
Oh.
Delightful.
Now I kind of want him to fail it.
Fucking delightful.
All right, so you take that. You have your check. The difficulty of this check is 4. I'm gonna throw in a disadvantage die because they don't like sorcery. So your obstacle is 5.
Oh, great, thank you.
What would happen if he succeeded?
If he succeeds, he gets his intent. He and Chris's intent in this case was to convince his organization that this is okay, right? You might feel unsafe, but don't worry. I have control of the situation. These people are a benefit to us, not a detriment. We will benefit off this. So fret not.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you bastard, son of a bitch.
Okay. Very. Yeah. Okay. Let's.
Fuck.
So, before we do this, let's reel it back for a moment. Go into your character sheet and remove the one of the wound thingies. Like, so you're down to. Actually, never mind that. Roll me 1d6 more because you only have 1 wound penalty going. So that's a 6. So you have 2 6s and 3 successes. Do you want to spend fate and try to re-roll and try and get 2 more successes?
Would I have to re-roll all of the dice for that?
No, you spend a fate. You would be able to re-roll. You have 1 6 in the first roll up, and you have 1 6 from the extra die you rolled there. So you would get 2 more dice you could roll. If you get a success on both of those, you get your obstacle. If you get a 6 on one of them, you could re-roll that again.
Go on, we'll spend a fate point then.
All right, give me a roll of 2d6. All right, so you get one success. That is not enough. You don't meet your obstacle. So you almost get it.
Fuck it.
So mark a difficult check towards your persuasion.
Oh, dear God. Okay.
Let's have a look.
Someone is meant to be persuasive. I've not done a very fucking good job of it.
Well, I would say we've probably not helped you by being spooky as all fuck.
So
no, I suppose not.
Thing is, interestingly, that persuasion, just hard out using a social stat, just flat and hard, is pretty difficult. It's like, let's use the example with falsehood instead. If you were to just use falsehood on someone, you walk up to a guard and it's like, I want to use falsehood to convince him I'm allowed to be here. What you're actually doing is walking up to a person and just telling a lie and expecting them to believe it. So when you do a lot of groundwork before that, you have a better chance at succeeding. Imagine like a heist movie like Ocean's 11. When they lie, they have a lot of things to back it up. They have entered some information into the computer system, and they have like some forged ID, and they're wearing like a guard's uniform. All of this adds benefit and advantage that then makes it easier to use falsehood to dissuade the guards and let them inside. The same goes with persuasion. Just trying to hard persuade someone is not that easy because the obstacle is people's will, which is generally speaking 4. But if you kind of loop people up in certain ways and use forks and help and so on, you could definitely earn successes towards advancing it, and it would be easier. In your case, you didn't really have that much help to rely on, so you're in an awkward position over the course of these few weeks.
Fuck it. Okay.
So they were still close knit, but they were what?
So actually, I'll give you one last chance because there was one thing I didn't factor in, and that's bad on me. And I will try and stop this moving forward because I shouldn't. I should just let this be rolled and let you suffer for my mistakes, but I won't.
Yeah.
I won't.
Yeah.
You should have an advantage die for like talking about. Oh, and this one of them is a healer and is totally gonna help us while you are healing at the speed of light.
Yeah. I wonder if I should also have called on Evelyn. But then no, she wouldn't have been much help because she distrusts him as well.
Yeah,
okay, so
take one more die. You have one more chance to hit the obstacle.
One more chance.
1d6. 4 higher. There it is.
Okay.
Roll again. It's a 6, and you used fate.
Yeah, it's you could roll higher, but it wouldn't have an escalated effect. You achieve your intent. Good on you.
Okay. Yes.
I apologize for dragging it out like this. I didn't take into consideration that you were healing.
I in turn apologize for whining like a little bitch about it in the first place.
It's
fine. Okay. It would be really, really bad if those two found out what you thought about them.
I will also say that I would much rather that you actually complain, or not complain, but that you like voice dissatisfaction in all regards, because it gives me something to think about, right? If you don't voice dissatisfaction in such certain situations, whether it's justified or not, we'll find out. But if you don't do it, I might miss it, and we might, accidentally pull the campaign in an unwanted direction because of it. So we want people to be happy. Okay,
true.
Cool.
But at the same time, okay.
You used fate, and I remembered that you are presently healing at hyper speed, and because of the way you phrased your argument, that adds an advantage for you. So you reach obstacle 5, just barely, but you do.
Just barely.
Now this changes the. I believe this changes the nature of the difficulty of the persuasion, though. I think it might be routine to hit 5 with 5, but it might be difficult. I'm gonna quickly check.
I'll be prepared to change it.
Exponent 5, hitting 5. No, it's hard. Okay, good. So it's still difficult.
Also, you can now note a fate in your...
Yeah. AJ is completely correct. Put a fate into your persuasion. And remove 1 fate from your Arthur and Epiphanies.
Yep. So we're down to Uno.
There you go. Good on
you. So your one fate closer to have gray die in it.
Yeah. If you get a challenging persuasion test or 3 routine persuasion tests, your persuasion goes up to 5.
Excellent.
All right. So cool. Over the course of the next 3 weeks and so on, you kind of you get into conversation with your men one at a time, and like kind of take them aside, talk to them, and get them down to earth. And that you feel personally like you get the feeling that they're being receptive over time. They kind of like learn to work with what's being presented to them. Now, this is perhaps in spite of whatever these 2 dudes are going to decide to do with their own free time. So, Evelyn, I'm going to take care of. Don't worry about Evelyn. I got her well in hand. But you're asking the yeah, go on.
Sorry, don't you be touching up my girlfriend.
I will if I want to. She's not busy. I control everything. I am God. No, enough of my power trip. Sorry. While this is happening, you ask the twins to go about looking into this whole business. Now, that's all well and good. But you two, are you going to do as you're asked, or are you going to do something else?
Go, Rasmus. You start this time.
Alright, so he asked us to go look into this business.
Yeah.
With the drugs.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. I think we will probably, unless he objects, have Minumian look into understanding perhaps the alchemical changes to the powder, and then I think for Jihauji's sake, he would probably try and take as many chances as he can get to turn into a bird and fly around, either to spy on people or to get, a chance to get a better understanding of the city, being able to find his way around better.
So, what you are doing, like, let's talk you, Jihauji, turning into a bird and flying around. What do you hope to achieve in doing so?
I hope to achieve information. I hope to perhaps almost kinda achieve Manning Bridge-wise, like the layout of it. And the problem is I don't know who the distributors are or anything. Yeah. So I think could Nikki provide me with that information?
So here's what I'm thinking before we go into what information he can provide you. If like you just flying around and looking down could yield the information you're looking for, but it's very unlikely. If you want to instead spend the time looking around, like as you're doing this and looking around, you're looking down on Manning Bridge and you're kind of trying to commit the map of the place to your head. If you do that instead, and if that's like the bulk of your focus, I will let you spend the 3 weeks and 4 days practicing towards earning a test towards Manning Bridge wise. And you will in turn like get closer to learn that skill.
I will do that then, with the reasoning that by knowing the city I can more easily figure out who done it.
I think that's perfectly reasonable. Okay. So let's have a look at practice then. What is this? This is a wise. So you are spending some time learning a wise. Wise. Do we have wise? Anyone? Give me wise.
The wise man.
Yeah, go on.
What's that famous saying? Wise man only knows that he knows nothing.
I don't remember who said that. I also remember the phrase, a paranoid man is merely a man in possession of all the facts.
Yes, we could philosophize all evening if you wanted to.
Yeah, that way we could practice our philosophy.
Yes, do routine checks in it.
Alright, let's see.
I'm completely in with that. The second this guy dies, as in the second our lovely Smolak dies, the only thing I will read on his gravestone is, I told you.
Yep, pretty much.
You were warned.
I told you.
So a wise is a special skill. To earn a routine check for it, it would take you 3 months of practice, but you can log 3 weeks of practice towards it. And if you continue practicing a little every day moving forward in the story, you will eventually like get a check towards learning it, and that will add to whatever you've already done to learn it.
Will I get any kind of advantage for having a rather unique view on the layout?
No, you won't, but it will. But you could definitely argue that point, right? That I've seen Manning Bridge from the top down. If you wanted to make a check to like find a way in this direction, if you make that point to me from your fictional positioning, saying I've seen this before, but I've seen like the map of it with my own eyes top down, I might be inclined to give you an advantage die.
Okay.
That is fictional positioning in a nutshell, right? I have seen this shit from top down. That makes me uniquely suited to finding my way out of it. I'll be like, hell yeah, it does. You take that.
Well, in that case, I practice towards getting Manning Bridge wise.
All right. So here's what you're gonna do for that. You are going to you have this thing called a practice log. It's next to your spells, and below Arthur's and Epiphanies.
It's called being learned.
No, there's a thing actually called practice log. It's below Arthur and Epiphanies.
Ah.
I found it.
Okay, so in that, write Manning Bridge wise.
Yeah.
And then 3 weeks and 4 days. So here's the question: how long do you spend on learning it? How long do you spend?
Like a day?
Yeah.
Is there a minimum?
If you spend 3 hours a day, it'll count as learning by a routine test. If you spend 6 hours a day, it'll be difficult, and 12 hours a day, it'll count towards challenging. Now, as you are learning it, this might have a different effect, like using practice to unlock a skill instead of using practice to get better at a skill. There might be a rule regarding this, and I'll find out for sure. But until we know better, just tell me how long a day you're spending doing this.
To know that, I need to know how long in 2 seconds. Sorry, track.
No worries.
I need to know how long it takes before I start taking penalties from being a bird.
Okay, so...
Because I would probably stop before that sets in, but I would probably also push it to just before that sets in.
Strictly speaking, like, here's the thing. So, being a bird in this case is just like, it's just a part of the fiction. You watch it from the sky, and because you do that, you might get advantage on fictional positioning, but it's not the fact that you're a bird that matters, it is the fact that you're practicing towards this. So you could have done this without being a bird, and it wouldn't be a consideration. You just bird out whenever you kind of can, and whenever it would be too much, you stop being a bird and walk around and look around instead.
That's exactly what I envisioned him doing.
Yeah, so we don't really care about...
I would like personally to know how long, also for other instances, how long does it take before it starts taking a toll on me?
I will answer that probably after the session, because I think the time now is better spent, dealing with the time skip. So we finish that, and then I'll find out for you.
In that case,
what's your will exponent?
My will exponent is, I believe it's 4.
Let's have a look then. What's your will?
Yeah, it's 4, and my perception is 6.
Okay, so you can train up to a maximum of 3 times your will exponent per day. So for you, it's 12 hours. So you can, if you want to, work towards either of the instances, right? You could work toward a routine, difficult, or challenging test, if that matters at all when you're just trying to learn it. As I said, I'll bring you back those details later.
I actually kind of like the idea of how to not being home for extended periods of time. So I would probably go for a higher number, like 10 or 12.
Okay, so 12 hours, let's say, because that would earn you challenging. So for every day of the next 3 weeks and 4 days, like 12 hours a day, you're just out and away, and then you come back. You probably also like make a concerned effort to like do this shit in public, like turning into a bird and reappearing as a person, and
of course.
Yeah, and we'll take that into consideration when we talk traits, because that will work towards you earning a reputation. Woo-hoo. And it'll earn you trouble. So yay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get into this practice thing later. Now I know what you've spent your time on. I'll get back to the exact effects of it. Because you definitely attract some attention, and you definitely you understand the city better, even though you don't have Manning Bridge wise yet. You can now, you can make a perception check against double obstacle, and I will give you an advantage die for having seen the shit from top down.
Cool.
Everyone, you can always make an untrained wise, but now you're better at it. And Minnow, what do you spend the next 3 weeks and 4 days doing? You have been asked told to have a look into this whole drug affair, and your brother has suggested that you take a look at the alchemical end of the powder. Is that something you want to do?
He's gonna check out the stuff that he's told to check out.
Okay, cool. So
he's gonna practice alchemy while he's checking this powder anyway.
Okay, so I'm gonna have you make a check for the alchemy, and once we've done that check, we'll talk about practicing alchemy. So, do you have an alchemical kit?
Nope.
Okay. Do you
and
have...
that is also a point I made for him. That, I could check it, but I don't have this stuff to do it.
I want to have a witty retort, but I explicitly don't have a retort. That's the problem.
No, that was for when the boss gave him shit about it.
That's true.
He'd say, well, I don't actually have the kit to do it.
Yeah, I was making a prune. Okay, so alchemy.
Yeah, I did.
Your intent is to learn the nature of the powder. Or what is your intention? I don't want to tell you what it is. Just tell me what your intention is.
He wants to take the white stuff and the green stuff and find out what the hell they put into it.
Okay, so what is different between these two?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Will also mention that if he has to do this in any meaningful way, he should probably have a kit for it.
Yep, that is definitely a thing. Are you going to set about trying to acquire an alchemy kit before you do this, or are you going to try and do it despite not having the tools for it?
With knowing some alchemy, how bad is it not having it?
The not having the tools is going to double your obstacle. I'm not going to tell you what the obstacle is, because I will only do that once you agree to do the check.
So in other words, he'll know it'll be fucking hard.
It might be hard. I mean, it could be as hard as the obstacle being 5 and then being doubled to 10, or it could be or 10 and being doubled to 20, or it could be as simple as the obstacle being 1 and being doubled to 2. I'm not going to tell you which exactly.
Worst part, because I have 2 in alchemy. So yes, he will try to get a fucking alchemy set.
Wonderful.
They still sent those little chemical sets, my little alchemist stuff with radium and shit in it.
So you attempt it over the course of the next 3 weeks to get your hands on this. Give me a resources test.
Meh. How?
I don't know. Do you have resources?
No.
Okay, then that's a foregone conclusion then. So you can't actually make a test if you don't have an exponent in it. So you think to yourself, I should get an alchemy test, an alchemy set. Yes, I will go and find one. And you like go about the city, and eventually you find like a stall that has been set up, and it sells like the alchemy set. And you're like, okay, that's exactly what I need. I need one of those and one of those and one of those. How are you gonna pay for it? And you do the like the funny strips in a newspaper thing where you're just like turning out your pockets and a moth flies out. It's like, oh wait.
That is when he realizes, oh right, I paid for fucking Nicholas.
Yeah, I have no money. I have no money, and I have no reputation or contacts or anything, any leverage to pull on. I in fact have jack shit. So
I mean, you could perhaps ask someone you know who does have resources to assist you.
He could. He probably will.
all right. So who is that person you want to contact who has money?
Well, it's actually Nicholas who wants him to do it, but if he needs to do it, then he needs the tools to do it.
Okay, so I can do a resources check on her behalf. On his behalf. I keep forgetting that Minamir is male when the player is female. Okay, so any modifiers?
No, I don't. I mean, if you want to, let's see, what could you do to increase the resources? You could.
Haggling.
She's found the person who's selling it, at least where his stall is temporarily. You can make a link test using Wises or accounting. And you can also use haggling. Yeah.
So accounting and haggling, that's 2.
This will be a link test with all of these. So this works differently.
Okay.
Are you going to engage in attempting to acquire this?
Yes.
Okay, cool. First off, then, give me a link test with accounting. Your attempt to do this is like, your intent here is to use your books and your knowledge of your economy to pull on the correct means to actually be able to afford this, right?
Okay, so how does this work again?
You make me an accounting test.
Yep.
And the obstacle is, let's see, tests resources against the obstacles if it was any other skill or stat. You may make link test uses the appropriate skills or Wises or accounting in order to get a bonus die. See the scoring a deal section. Okay, let's find scoring a deal. Scoring a deal. Scoring a deal. It can be used to add to aid resources in a game when a player wishes to track down an item or service not commonly available. Test an appropriate Wise to see if the character finds it in a timely manner or find a good deal. Set the obstacle for the test. Up 1 are tests for commonly known information in the Wises area. Up 3 for uncommonly hard to find. The test abides by standard mechanics for link tests. Okay, cool. So let's find the obstacle for this. Toolkit. there's difference between getting an alchemical toolkit and other toolkits. So I'll just quickly run this through. You'll pardon me.
Yep.
Okay. So alchemy, if I recall correctly, is a sorcerer's skill. Is that correct? I mean, it's not strictly speaking directly magic or requires a gifted, but it is a sorcerer's skill. Yeah, it is. It's a sorcerer's skill. Okay. So
don't ask me. I wouldn't know.
Tools for a sorcerer's skill. Okay, I see it. So make me an accounting test versus obstacle. I want to say make the accounting test versus obstacle 3.
Okay. No modifiers.
You may use forks for that link test if you want to. So if you have anything you think should count in towards your accounting, like do you have something that will aid your accounting? Like
haggling?
No, that's not really. You're not haggling when you're accounting. Can you read? Can you write?
Yes. Read and write. Yes, both of them.
Okay, cool. Then you could definitely take forks for reading and writing as you're trying to account.
Okay.
Do you have any tools you could use? Like, do you have a writing kit? Do you have pen and paper?
Give me a second to check.
Or in this case, parchment and quill.
Would parchment and quill be contained in a forgery toolkit?
No, it would not. I mean, yeah, okay, yeah. So, yeah, okay. I'll say you can wing it. It's not ideal, but you could wing it. So I'll permit that. But I will count that again as a use of your forgery kit. So next time you use it, I'm gonna roll the die of fate.
Yeah.
And
you can do that.
So
yeah, no, it's not.
Okay.
Sorry, Minima, it's not worth it me using up the forgery kit for you. So just 2, just modifier of 2.
All right. So yeah, roll versus obstacle 3 with your accounting plus 2.
No, sorry.
Okay. So that link test failed. That subtracts 1 from your resources check.
Really?
Yeah, in when you're gonna make, because this is a link test. So now you want to make an accounting. You just made the accounting check. Now you want to haggle. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So we test haggling versus haggling as a versus thing. Yeah, if the buyer wins, you may reduce the price by 1 obstacle. Okay. So I'm gonna start out by rolling this guy's haggle. I'm gonna make a quickly going to add a dude here and just call him like merchant, because I can't be. I'm gonna specify this later, but now he's just merchant, and we don't care about any of his skills or stats. The only thing we care about is that he is a merchant and he deals in expensive stuff, and as a result, he has a haggling of 4. And he's gonna roll his haggle of 4. Is he gonna use? Does he have any related wises? I wonder. He probably has like one thing he can fork in. He probably has like what does he have? He has like salesperson wise.
Possibly.
So let's see. Yeah, he has haggle, 1 modifier versus a base obstacle of 1. Boom. All right. So you test your haggling versus obstacle 3.
No modifiers of my own?
Do you have any fictional positioning you would want to fork in? Like something that would make you better at haggling?
Persuasion?
Yeah, fork that in. Take persuasion. Anything else?
Accounting?
I'll allow that, yeah. Take that as a fork.
Reading and writing don't count. Grift-wise is about thievery, so not really.
You could try to steal it, but yeah.
Doesn't help. Law-wise,
Nah.
I was thinking of how. No.
Do you have falsehood?
I do.
Yeah, you could fork that.
Okay.
Could be a dirty cheating liar.
Well, I am a dirty cheating liar, so it makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, I think that's it for skills.
All right, then throw me some bones.
Ooh.
Nice. Okay, so you see, you're free to haggle. To do so, test haggle versus haggle. If the buyer wins, he may reduce the price. Okay, so
But I've still got my wounds. That's the problem. I've still got the wounds detracting from the.
Oh well, let's not have any of. Roll one more die because you have one more die. You only have a wound of war. You only have.
Because you said we'd deal with it later, and we never did.
It's true. You have one wound, so roll 1d6.
So technically, I would have passed the accounting success in the first place.
That might be.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, then take one more. Like roll one on the die. Let's see about the accounting.
Sorry to bring this on. We are kind of dragging the evening on a bit now, but
it's okay. It's okay. Let's fix this.
2 3s.
We're gonna do this right, or we're not gonna do it at all. Damn it. Okay.
That's fine. Okay, so 2 3s in a row.
All right. So you meet him, like you butt heads. You don't beat him. So, but he definitely he appreciates a good verbal tussle.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he remains adamant about his price. So you can't haggle him down. You're now in a situation where you get to roll. You get to roll your resources to try and acquire this, but you subtract 1 for failing the link test. If you had succeeded in the link test, you would have, if you had succeeded by 1 or more, like gone over the limit, you would have gotten bonus dice. That's how link tests work. So, what is your resources?
My resources is 1.
Okay, and it's subtracted. Okay, and you take 1 from it. Okay, so in this case, we don't actually need to roll for it, or rather, we can't roll for it because it's the exponent is reduced to 0 for the purposes of this test. So yeah, you check your accounting books. You try and talk this person down. Like, could we just maybe, if you just are willing to give a bit of could you wiggle just a little bit here? And he's not willing, and over the course of a period of time, you come to the realization that you cannot finance this. This cannot happen. So unfortunately, you cannot assist Minomir in acquiring this alchemical toolkit. At least not for the present time.
No.
Not the legal way, anyway.
Yeah, you could always steal one. But yeah, so for you find yourself in a situation, Minnow, where you are unfortunately informed that you cannot really get the tools required right now.
All right.
So, what's up? What are you gonna do?
Then using the green stuff would be really, really bad because it could fail. And I could ruin whatever it was.
Yeah, what you would essentially risk is if you try and alchemy the green stuff, I might set a failure that is you expend it and now you're out, and if you want to check it out, you need more.
Exactly. So that would be dangerous. Instead, he's just gonna train alchemy.
Alright, so you practice makes perfect. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see about practice for sorceress skills. Practice.
Hey.
Indeed. Alright, so you start practicing your alchemy, write in your practice log that you are practicing alchemy for 3 weeks and 4 days. What is your will exponent?
6.
Okay, so you can spend 18 hours a day if you want to
Shit.
practicing. Now that will, if you do so, that will lead to you being sleep deprived, and I will slap you with some health penalties for that.
Hmm.
But so here's the sorcery thing. You can earn a routine test by spending 5 hours a day, a difficult test by spending 10 hours a day, or challenging by spending 15 hours a day for a year.
Oh shit. How do I type in the practice log? It doesn't let me type anything.
The practice log is like it's a text field. So if you.
But I can't get the thingy down there so I can write it.
Oh, sorry. Let me go about it then. We know for a fact that your machine has like a tenuous relationship with some of the Roll20 features. So I'm gonna do this. So
sometimes it just goes, I hate you, bitch, and then I am not allowed to see anything on the screen where there is a picture in Roll20.
How long are you going to train for a routine test or a difficult test or a challenging test? Are you going to train for 5, 10, or 15 hours?
How
a day?
Long what do I need to actually get the shit up?
Yeah, let's have a look at your alchemy. So your alchemy will increase with, it's 2 right now, so it will increase with 1 challenging test or 1 difficult test and 2 routine tests.
Then I'll go for the difficult one.
Okay, so you'll go for difficult. That means you're spending 10 hours a day doing this. So we'll log here that you're spending 3 weeks, 4 days, 10 hours per day / difficult. Target 1 year. There.
Wow, that takes a long time.
It does. Sorcery is very hard to practice. It is much easier to get better at by doing it than it is at practicing it. Because that's how the game works.
Yep.
If it can blow up and hurt you, it adds ease of learning.
So if I go out now and make a difficult test, then the difficult one there would be completely wasted?
No, it just keeps adding, right? So you make a let's say next session you make a challenging alchemy test and immediately just boop, now you have 1 more alchemy. Hooray! If you did that, you would still have that practice. So once let's say your alchemy just increases by 1 and now it's 3, and then 2 years passes, and over the course of those 2 years you have the time to then practice towards getting a difficult test, then no matter what you need at that point in time, you will then get a difficult test.
Okay. So it just, well...
Practice stacks.
Okay, so even though I'm at 2 now, and maybe in a year when I'm finally done, I'm actually at 6 because, fuck it, I've been using it too?
Yeah.
I'd still get that difficult test.
Yep. At the end of the practice, you earn one of that types of checks. Now, an instance could occur where you're technically wasting the practice if you're practicing for, let's say, a routine test instead, and for in some way this becomes like the game of alchemy, and you just test alchemy forever and ever. And you go so high in your alchemy that you no longer benefit from routine tests, and then you finish practicing a routine test. That would then be practice for nothing.
Okay, but you can always use a difficult test for something.
Yeah.
That's sort of why I went for it, because if there's only 2 routine tests to actually get it up, then it would be bad, because at some point you no longer benefit from routines.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so...
It takes a year.
Yeah, sorcery takes a while to practice. Okay, so we've logged that now. Now we know that you've been working towards that. And as we come to the end of these 3 weeks and 4 days, and Nikki, you're ship shape. You're like in the best of health and so on. And you're getting better. We see you kind of talking to your people. Like we don't have any audio, but we just see you like taking people aside one by one. We see we have like a cutaway to Evelyn walking around like in the alleyways and streets of this place, like either just talking to people in a low voice or pushing people up against the wall with a dagger at their throat and like barking something at them, and we can't hear what it is. To like the camera tilting up and seeing like a falcon flying over, looking down, and beholding the city from above. And then like a cutaway into like a darkened room with low lighting, and Menomir sitting poured over his alchemical studies.
Yeah, we're doing it as well.
all the while like a score building in the background. And as we do so, we like these clips are interspersed with like where we see you guys like meeting in the morning, eating, and then like we have like the fast forward with like you leaving the room and coming back in, and just pattern repeating every day. And as we end this, we're coming up on the end of the month, and we see like your stores of cash and food are running dangerously low as we approach the end of the month, and the dreadful maintenance cycle hangs over your heads. And also you're approaching the time where you need to renew your supplies of your stuff.
Yes.
So we're gonna end it on that, and then when we pick up next time, we're gonna be picking up after the 3 weeks have passed.
On the upside, he's no longer bleeding light.
That is very true. All right, so thank you very much for participating in this session. Let's talk Arthur.
Hi, Arthur.
Hooray! Hey, Arthur. How you doing, mate?
King Arthur. You can do it.
So, beliefs, instincts, and traits.
Yay.
Start from the top, shall we? Minomir. Let's talk about your beliefs.
Yeah. What about him? Hey, I'm no longer wounded. Go away.
It's true. Chris and AJ both drop into your health, into your combat fans, and remove your wounds. They're no longer valid. Rasmus, you can restore your fort to its normal position if you have changed it in your character sheet.
I don't think I did.
Good, that's wise of you. You would risk forgetting it otherwise.
I can't make them go away.
Yeah, you just click above it.
Just above it. Just above the dot.
Oh yeah, I see.
There is an invisible X to remove it.
Nothing stupid if it's invisible.
It's to not clutter the character sheet, essentially.
Yeah, so if it means easier navigation, I think I can deal with a bit of clutter.
Point taken. All right, so Minnow, let's start from the top of your belief. What's your first belief?
Do we really have to go through them all, even though it hasn't been touched upon?
Well, we're gonna find out if they've been touched upon by going through them. So it works in the opposite direction. So the first one I seem to remember is about the curse, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I haven't done anything about it at all.
So we've not yet we've not just broached the curse. So
Nope.
we don't get anything from that. What about your next belief? What is that? Your second one?
If people seek me out for help, try to avoid them. Ariasta is new to me, and so until I can be sure it won't harm me, I lay low with my abilities.
Yeah, so we've not seen that in play yet either, but it's been discussed like in terms of why is your character doing what he's doing, and we've definitely we've touched upon why is there an exception to this and when is the exception no longer valid. So we don't earn anything from that, but you've given context to it, so good on you for that. And the third belief?
Nicholas' business is in danger. Someone has been tampering with his narcotics, and I'll find out exactly what has been done to it. I
Cool.
tried to do that, but it's kinda hard.
Yeah, you tried to do that, and for that you definitely earn fate. So take a fate point for that.
Yay. Oh, now I have to click back again. Why ain't it on the same page? Screw you! And back again. Yosh.
All right. Your instincts. Did any of your instincts make your life difficult?
No, but I wanted it to.
Yeah, there was a moment where you could be like, yeah, I'm just gonna disregard the boss and be super awkward and threatening to this person while I'm flirting with his daughter, while we're essentially blackmailing him. You could have done that, but you elected not to, and for that you earned the group another die towards healing Nicholas. So don't take fate for that.
Nope.
Any of your other instincts?
Nope.
Okay.
Weren't surprised at any point, so I didn't draw a weapon. And Shiho weren't the one getting into trouble.
That's true.
Well, he did, and I were sort of there, but it didn't get me trouble other than old man scolding my brother, and that wasn't really trouble, that was just annoying.
Do you feel like any of your traits sent the story in an unforeseen direction or in a new direction?
Not really. Well, Spooky did what it was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Made him spooky, and his cool-headedness annoyed our work giver because he couldn't read anything in his face.
I think if Chris had ended up failing that persuasion check to keep his men in line, I think you could have taken Fate for Gifted, for basically like for Gifted and Spooky, for instilling like disorder within. For instilling disorder within an organization you're relying on to survive.
Yep.
But as it just happened, like things transpired okay, which is of course a benefit to you, but in this case prevents you from earning Fate.
Yep.
Did you feel like any of your do you feel like you resolved anything? I don't feel like you did. No, we went over the basic beliefs, so never mind that. Okay, so you take a Fate point for today. Good on you. And now you have, like, we definitely got some direction, right? We know you want to we know you need to get stuff to really get the things you want to do done, like acquiring an alchemy kit and so on.
Yeah, I'll be changing some of my beliefs and instincts.
Definitely. I think that's a good idea. Okay. So that's all that's all she wrote. Let's have a look at Nicholas.
Yes.
So, your first beliefs, did you resolve or drive towards any of the beliefs?
No, basically. So I'm going to change one of them.
All right. Yeah, sounds about right. So, okay, so yeah, none for that. How about your instincts? Did any of your instincts give you into trouble? Make your life difficult?
I would argue no.
Okay. How about your traits? Did any of your traits send the story in a different direction?
I
don't feel like it. I think we pretty much stayed on track with that.
Yeah, as you said, there was actually an instance where we acted against.
Yeah, you acted. You spent money to make money, in a sense.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah, that's definitely a thing. I'll take that into consideration in a moment. So no fate or persona for any of these for this session. Rasmus, Shihaoji.
It is I.
It is. Let's talk about your beliefs. What's your first belief?
I am awesome.
I believe that is Shihaoji's secret fourth belief, yeah?
No, it's
Gesundheit.
want to make a name for myself, to be revered or feared. By any means, I'll make a continued effort to become the center of attention in public.
Yeah, I'm. So we strictly speaking didn't see it in that much of a sense, but it definitely happened, and it is going to have an effect as we move forward that you've been doing this consistently for 3.5 weeks. So take a fate for that, because it did happen. So take a fate for that belief.
Woo.
How about the second belief?
I will find the person who infringes his product and destroy him.
Yeah, you work towards that, so take a fate.
Ooh. I should start spending those.
And your third?
I will seek out knowledge of old.
Yeah, you didn't really work towards that one, so don't take fate for that. You didn't push the game forward with that belief. All right. Any instincts getting your life difficult?
I will say if If Evelyn hadn't been a smart girl and had started threatening us, I would most definitely have responded with intimidation. But she was a smart girl, so...
It's true. I should actually... It's good that you mentioned that, in fact, because that is a lesson to me. I should just as well have let her do that and challenged your instinct. So I'm saying this out loud as a message to myself. Try and remember to push that instinct when I have a chance.
Try to make it difficult.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm standing in this situation, was like, is Evelyn going to threaten him or not? Then obviously the answer should be yes. Okay, what about your other instincts?
I did not... I don't think anything weird happened, so I didn't check if I was dreaming.
It's true. Remember that you also have some agency in that. I mean, while you may not necessarily earn Arthur for it, you, as well as I, can take the reins from him and be like, so I'm actually lucid dreaming right now, Game Master. And I'd be like, okay, tell me about that.
That's true, I can do that.
You feel free to adopt your director stance.
I will do that from now on then.
Okay. And your last instinct?
Ask Minamir for advice when you need it.
Yeah, you didn't really ask his counsel this time. You gave him an order.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. So far, so good. Any of your traits? Any of your traits sent the story in a new direction?
I don't think... Yeah, actually, yeah, my Mark of Privilege helped me out in searching for a doctor.
It did help you out in that regard, but I don't think it sent it in a new direction. You were going to look for a doctor no matter what, but...
That's true, that's true. And I'm guess...
You didn't decide to engage with the nobility and demand to see the royal physician because you too are of noble blood.
No,
that would have been an example of that.
However, I did play somewhat against my base humility.
You absolutely
by giving
did.
My mentor the "Are you done?" look.
Yeah. I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, you can change this in play if you want to. I feel like you're working towards getting rid of base humility.
Yeah, and I forgot, is it that I'm actually really humble all the time, or is it just I know how to be?
Essentially, that depends on how you want to play it, but having the trait means that in a room full of humble people, you are the humblest motherfucker in there. When you have a trait, it means that you are that, unless you're specifically working towards getting rid of it, and then you can be like, so I used to be really humble and like bend and scrape and kowtow to my great and sorcerer's masters, but now I'm kind of getting over that.
I mean, I was probably really humble until I realized just how insignificant my mentor had gotten compared to me.
Yes, and yet, even now, it seems like he's in possession of these abilities that you didn't know of. It's like, oh, he knows about the human body? What is this? What is this sorcery, if you pardon my pun?
Yeah, I think for Jihadi's point of view, I think he's okay with keeping the mentor around, so long as he proves useful. And I think he has like this idea that perhaps he knows something he hasn't let on yet. It's not like it's not a definite thing, but he's more like, just in case he knows something he hasn't taught me yet.
I mean, he's definitely cultivating that air about himself, right? You can tell me, like, next time you can tell me what would be traditional if you would respect your teacher forever and ever, or if it's like, I outgrew my teacher and now I step him underfoot because there can be only one and I cut off his head.
I'm definitely
or if the tradition is more like, I should respect him forever because base humility and the ways of the old world and blah blah blah. You'll tell me about that the next time.
Just so I have something to think about. Is, are we talking general or when taught magic?
We're talking specifically the tradition you grew up in, like where you learned magic and where you got your worldviews. Are you supposed to care for your teacher until his grave, or are you supposed to be like, no, now I am the powerful mage, be gone, weak teacher, and then you Sith Lord him, like, what is up?
I'll of course think about that until next time, but I think my initial stance is that you're kind of supposed to revere them forever and ever, but you know, Jihaoji has already proven that he's not that much a stickler for tradition, and he has kind of maybe just a little bit of an ego.
That's cool. I love it. So, and that runs exactly contrary to what your teacher is trying to accomplish, right? He's trying to ride your coattails forever. And he is definitely letting on an air that he is still like, I am still your clever, wise teacher, and you're supposed to respect me because I know stuff you don't. Where my twirls mustache. But you know, we'll wait and see what happens there. I'm very curious. And I hope to introduce AJ's relationships really soon, and the rest of your relationships. But we'll get to that. GM secrets. GM secrets. All right. So, any of your traits get you propelled
Not
the story?
unless no, as we talked with AJ about gifted, almost got us in trouble, but not really.
Okay. So yeah, that's it for your character in that regard. So let's talk about embodiment. Do you feel like anyone really embodied their character, like did good and distinctive role playing?
Like, are we talking more than just the usual?
Like when a player captures the mood of the table perfectly and further drives the story onward. Moments like great speeches, desperate decisions, or gruesome revenge.
In that case, no.
All right, the rest of you agree?
Yep.
Okay. Do we feel like anyone went beyond the bounds of their character? Like, conflict, like there was a conflicting decision with their beliefs and they had to make a decision on like, am I going to go with my belief or am I going to break my belief? Do you feel like that happened?
No.
Possibly with Nikki paying the man.
Yeah, I would actually go with that. I mean, it is not as dramatic as we would probably want it to be, but this is not a game about, at least not yet, a game about like the hugest stakes. A lot of the conflict in this game is as small and petty as your characters. So I feel like that you could earn a persona for that. I think you could take Moldbreaker. Does anyone agree that Nikki, like, despite having a belief about scrounging cash together, is now essentially almost bankrupt by his own design?
Sure.
How about you, AJ?
Yep.
All right, cool.
Okay, so
take a persona point.
I have. Okay.
In comparison, the one Minnow used weren't that bad. Yes, it weren't exactly in design with his, what's it called? I forgot what it's called.
Your belief?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he did help one because he figured it was safe enough.
Yeah, I'm going to push your belief.
It kinda turned out that it weren't because everyone went completely berserk about it.
It's true. Let's have a look here. How about personal goals, revenge, triumph, seduction, victory? Not really. Not yet. Did anyone have like just the exactly right skill at the right moment to push the story forward where it would have gotten stuck otherwise?
I mean, Minamir definitely helped speed up Nikki's recovery.
Yeah, and despite the initial, well, actually, no, that's a good point. It was a failure, but I would say that Nikki having to help step in to try and pay for Minimir's alchemy kit attempt.
Yeah, I would say like these could definitely do it. But the entry for this says keep it rare, and what I'm deferring for this is, or inferring from this, not differing, but inferring from this is like, we're stuck, but wait, I have the get out of stuck situation skill, and then people are like, oh my god, you have that, and then things move forward.
Okay.
And I don't feel like that's the case right here. Did we have an MVP? I feel like maybe we don't vote for MVP yet. Let's vote for MVP when we get to the trade vote.
Sure.
So, accomplishing greater goals? No. Going beyond the call? I don't think. No.
What does that entail?
Going beyond the call is essentially like I'm breaking my beliefs, or like I'm really putting myself in an awful position by doing something that I'm not supposed to do, but I'm still gonna do it anyway. It's like the heroic sacrifice thing.
Oh.
Hitching yourself to a course that transforms the setting.
I think I definitely did a heroic sacrifice by being totally exhausted by being a thought.
I mean, oh my god, I totally showed off, and it hurt me badly, and you guys owe me for it.
And I mean, even after that, I kind of even still helped my brother, even though I didn't have to, doing something totally selfless.
It's a darn shame that like the belief system as written does not account for your incredible selfishness. Okay, yeah, so skewed worldviews aside, in your mind, like your ego earned a persona point.
Yep.
But yeah, no, so I think that's it for Arthur for this one.
And what a ego that is.
Yeah. Thank you very much for playing with me. I think that's all for the Arthur tonight, and that is all for tonight's session. Do you have any closing comments before we end the recording?
Yes.
Okay, let's hear it.
Caw-caw.
Wonderful. Anyone else with equally brilliant insights?
No, I'm good.
All right, very cool. And AJ? No.
No.
Okay. Well, in that case, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into this session of The Burning Wheel. Now, we'll be back next time with even more good stuff and maybe trying out even more new parts of this game. This was really interesting, at least. I mean, so to me, this was interesting because it allowed us to engage with parts of the system we hadn't seen in play yet. And I feel like learning by doing is vastly better than learning by reading. Because I've been reading this a few times, and just actually doing it kind of painted a clearer picture for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you very much for participating in this session, guys. And we'll talk between sessions when I find out the stuff that I promised you I would find out, Rasmus.
Yes.
And we'll see each other Sunday for more Burning Wheel. So yeah, cool. And for you guys watching, thank you again for tuning in. And yeah, if you like what you're seeing, like, comment, subscribe, all that junk. And we'll see you next time. Bye.